On one of my morning runs in Dunedin, I found myself in the forest. Within a few minutes from my home, I was in this vast, wild green space. I looked up at the tall trees. The birdsong was melodious. There was a tiny stream trickling through. Running up the hill, I was puffed, but I felt refreshed. And given those circumstances, staying refreshed was important. This was during level 4 lockdown due to COVID-19. A tiny virus had stopped us on our tracks and changed the way we live. And during lockdowns, our cities went silent and birdsong became our soundtrack. Many of us turned to nature for our well-being. We couldn't travel far, so we enjoyed wild spaces in our own backyards. We started to pay attention to the world around us and collectively wondered how to improve our relationship with nature and how to tune into nature. Welcome to the first episode of Tune Into Nature with me, Karthik. As a wildlife filmmaker, I've been fascinated by the sounds of nature and wildlife and the stories they tell us. In this series, we'll explore and connect with nature through stories and sounds from wild places. We are going to meet community members, Kaitiaki guardians, working to protect Otago's environment. We will drop in for a chat with wildlife filmmakers, writers, and educators based in Dunedin. And we hope these stories will inspire you to go out and enjoy nature in your own way. I am at Orokonui EcoSanctuary, a protected forest 20 kilometers north of Dunedin. And I'm here to meet an educator who's been inspiring people to discover and connect with nature for over a decade now.
How are we, beautiful people?
Very good.
Did you see Waimarie the eel?
Yes.
Did you see her?
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Oh,
I've
that's,
seen so many
I
Kaka.
loved her. Oh, there's heaps of Kaka.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful. Thank you for this, beautiful people.
I am on a walk with Tahu Mackenzie, educator at Orokonui EcoSanctuary.
Fantastic when it's all misty like this, because all the birds come down into the forest, so it's just perfect. You can see all the little spider webs. So gorgeous. So the only protected cloud forest in the world, Kaka.
Part of Tahu's job is to take people on a walk and explore all the wild things, plants, birds, insects. She also has a few tips on how to talk to birds.
As if you go, or you go, coo, 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 that calls in the Kaka. Coo, 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 coo. So like that. Okay. Yep, you can do the for the fan tails. All the little. Oh yes! Oh Waimarie!
We were lucky to spot a very special endangered critter that day.
Waimarie the eel. She's a long-fin eel. Beautiful bellbird. Gorgeous. So she's lived here for 6 years, and she actually came from our stream. And we have a really beautiful stream that runs through the sanctuary. I like to call it the stream of dreams because it's very, very clean, beautiful water. And we get a 10 out of 10. Stenoptilus stonefly who lives in the stream, so they're very sensitive. They can only live in the cleanest water. And we have lots of eels, and then we have lamprey in there, who of course don't have a jaw and have the sucker mouth, which is very exciting. And so we took her out of the stream and we put her in that pond, and she's been very happy there, and we feed her and everything like that, and she really likes that. She gets steak, so she really likes that. And during lockdown, oh look, it's a beautiful tom-tom. Beautiful middle.
We dropped to a whisper so that we don't scare the tomtit away.
During lockdown, the rangers fed her leftover baby kiwi food, and she really didn't like it. And Elton did a video. Oh, there's lots of Kaka down there. Elton did a video of feeding her underwater, and she tried a bit of the leftover kiwi food, and then she spat it all out. Oh, lots of Kaka. Oh, look! Oh, my.
As we sat down for a chat, I counted around 15 Kaka hanging out and playing on the branches above us. So Tahu, tell me where we are today.
Wow, we're in my favourite place in the whole universe, protected paradise, Orokonui EcoSanctuary, and we are currently surrounded by multiple native birds, beautiful tui, beautiful korimako, the bellbird, and making all the noise and excitement, the beautiful Kaka. So we're very lucky that at Orokonui we're able to protect all of these really precious native species, and we've put up a big strong fence of defence that's 9 kilometres long and it encircles 307 hectares of lush cloud forest.
So just to give a bit of a background, New Zealand did not have any native land mammals except for bats. So native birds had almost no predators to eat them. And when we humans arrived and introduced animals like possums, rats, stoats, that wiped out many bird species. Today on the mainland, rare endangered wildlife find a safe home in predator-proof sanctuaries like Orokonui.
We're able to have this time and the space to connect with these beautiful native species in a way that is very respectful to them. So here we are, Kaka and I were sitting in the forest. We're surrounded by beautiful native trees. We've set up a feeding station for the native birds so they can have sugar water and then special pellets for the Kaka. But they are able to come down and feed and feel very safe and relaxed with us.
Can you tell us about your journey, about how we got into this and what your work is?
Well, I'm very, very lucky, and I was born here and I lived up a tree or in the sea in beautiful Broad Bay until I was 7. And then when I was 7, my mother and I went to LA, and then we went to Glasgow in Scotland, and then we went to London, England. So very early on in my life, I had a big shock of being taken from being immersed in nature to going into much more urban environments. And then when I was 18, I came back to New Zealand. Hallelujah, hallelujah. And I ended up getting a job at the aquarium. And my whole life changed because I was able to bring together those two aspects where I felt the most free. So in performance and in the living world.
And that blend of performing arts and nature meant Tahu becoming
Tahu Nui, the colossal squid. I made a big colossal squid costume and it was really exciting, and I told all these stories about what it was like to be a colossal squid, and I was very lucky, and I got to be a pirate, the pirate of Portobello. And also, very significantly, I was able to really feel my inner nurturer come forward. So I was caring for these beautiful sea creatures, looking after the octopus, who would always escape and have lots of adventures and have to be returned to her tank. And it was a very beautiful place to work, and it really set the rest of my life. And so after 4 years there, I was offered the job here, which was really incredible. So that was 12 years ago. In 2009, we had the visitors centre built so people could come for their own adventures here. And that's when I started, and I got to develop the whole education program. So that's, of course, working with all the 150 schools in the Otago region, but also from further afield, and early childhood and university and polytech and community education. So just a huge, diverse group of people. And so I have been here now for 12 years, and I really, really love it. And I get to work with about 10,000 people every year, students every year. And for me, Orokonui has really shown me who we are as a species.
I asked Tahu about unforgettable, powerful moments that shaped our connection with nature.
I didn't really feel the power of it until the takahe arrived. So that was in 2012. So I'd been here for 3 years at that stage. And we hadn't had takahe before for about 400 years. They'd been locally extinct here. And there's 418 of them now, which is fantastic. But at that time, I think there were 380 or something like that. And so the fact that we were getting 2 to have here at Orokonui was very, very special. and also the story of the takahe, that they were thought to be extinct and then rediscovered by my hero, Dr. Jeffrey Orwell. I loved that story. He decided when he was 8 that he was going to rediscover them, and he never ever gave up. And 32 years later he found them. So that I already knew that story, and I was really, really inspired by that. So I was very excited they were coming. And on that day I was all dressed up in a big takahe costume and everything like that. And it had a big hula hoop in it, in the tummy. So I had this big takahe tummy. And it was my job to welcome everyone and everything like that. Anyway, the rangers came out with these boxes, these little wooden boxes with the takahe inside. And I was thinking about, what I was going to say to everyone and everything like that. Anyway, then the rangers opened up the box and the takahe came out. And I was speechless. And I was so moved by seeing them coming back after 400 years. And just to see them in real life and to see all their colours and their beautiful big red beaks and red legs, everything, I was just so blown away. Anyway, I couldn't speak for half an hour. Like, that is how moved I was. And so that's when I really, really felt the power of it. And then since then it's just grown and grown and grown.
The forest of Orokonui not only offers glimpses of endangered birds like the takahe, but also a beautiful concert of birdsong that's unique to New Zealand.
For our native birds, they have evolved uniquely here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, because we didn't have mammals apart from little bats. We have such diversity in terms of our bird species, and we think that we have lost more than 40 of our native birds that were once here. And when Cook arrived and the ship was off the coast, they couldn't sleep at night because of the bird song. It was deafening, and that wasn't even on land. So the forests were just alive with song. And we can experience some of that here at Orokonui in a protected space.
This is a recording of the dawn chorus at Orokonui.
And for our native birds, of course, they had to evolve their own unique song that could be heard amongst the voices of all the other birds. So tui and bellbird, they have a syrinx rather than a larynx. So this is a voice box for each lung. So they're able to sing 2 songs at once, which is so amazing. But not only that, they're singing frequencies of sound that we can't hear with our human ears. So that's a whole other side to it. There are all of these songs going on all the time, and our human ears can't hear them, but the birds can hear them. And so it's fascinating to me to watch their behaviour, how they're all communicating all the time. Some of those sounds we can understand. We can say, this is a contact call, and you can hear that. That's what the Kaka's doing right now. So they're call, 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 call. So that's saying, where are you? I'm over here. Some of them might be the courtship calls or the territorial calls, all that sort of thing. But there's so much, really, that we don't understand. And I love that. It's very mysterious and magical, I think, the language of the birds.
In this series, I also wanted to learn and share about how sounds can play an important role in helping us connect with nature. And Tahu as her favourite sound.
So I find water really amazing. And not only has every drop of water been here since water became a real beautiful thing, but also it's, we know it's recycled over and over and over, and so it connects us with that history of our planet and the infinite realm. So I love all water. I particularly love the sound of running water. And the sound of waves. And for me, the sound of waves is like breath. And so tuning in with the sound of waves, tuning in with the sound of water, I find very, very calming. and it helps me reconnect with my breath.
And that brings us to this: how do we better connect with nature?
I feel that when we are out in the living world, particularly if we can take the time to be still and really tune in with our senses, that reconnects us with our stillness within ourselves. And here I am at Orokonui EcoSanctuary, my favourite place. So I could say our sanctuary within, that we have that safe place, that place of stillness, that place of peace within us. And by having this time connecting with the living world, even if it's just being out in our backyard or looking at the sky or going for a walk around our neighbourhood and taking the time to notice all the living things as we're walking along, I think that's hugely beneficial to us and our sense of connection with ourselves and with all living things.
Thanks, Tahu. That was great.
Thank you for having me talk about the Eco Sanctuary today.
If you like this episode, do share it with your friends and your network. We will greatly appreciate it. And to follow along on the series, head over to our Facebook page, Tune Into Nature Podcast. You can also sign up for fortnightly newsletters and get new episodes delivered to your inbox. If you have any comments or suggestions, write to us at tuneintonatureshow@gmail.com. As a part of a project called Aotearoa Stories in Sound, we are looking to collect sounds of Aotearoa, New Zealand that are meaningful and memorable to you. If you have any suggestions on that, or even recorded sounds, we'd love to hear from you. Please write to us at tuneintonatureshow@gmail.com. This podcast is funded by Otago Regional Council's Eco Fund. I'd like to thank Professor Nancy Longnecker from the Centre for Science Communication, University of Otago. Thanks to Otago Access Radio. Music for this podcast is from Blue Dot Sessions. And this is Karthik signing off. Thanks very much for listening.